up new strategies, new campaigns to attract public, to attract the public to vote for them. My panel, the first one is it prevents public engagement. Now, upon realize that you are in a democratic state where people are allowed to vote. Right now, if they ban electoral posts on their side, it's going to prevent the voters who are going to vote from engaging in this. But I realize that voting can be a good thing, but can be also a bad thing. But it tries to engage the public on what to do. This can help the public have debates about it. These debates can even help them, can even encourage critical thinking and also do more things. Now, Pana, what did we bring to you in today's debate? We gave you an intro. I explained what electoral posts are. I explained what elections are, and I gave some frame and characterization. I told you what electoral posts look like. Who are the stakeholders in this? What does status quo look like? Which people are going to benefit from this if it is not banned? And I gave you some. I give my burdens, which are this reduce informed voters, it encourages fraud, it encourages misinformation, and reduces the power of political parties to pick up new strategies and to pick up new campaign ways to vote for them. And it also reduces public engagement. Never been proud to propose.
I'll actually be rebutting ops, and then I'll be providing extra arguments as to why our side is better, and I'll be weighing, and then I'll show you why we have more impact as opposed to theirs. So ops comes to talk about a lot of things, as in it will encourage fraud. If the ban is effective, fraud will be encouraged and misinformation will go on and the likes. Panel, we are not actually against people organizing these polls and the likes. We are just against them releasing the result of these polls before the actual elections. And to his argument on misinformation, usually these polls are open to the general public, most likely the world, the global space. So these polls actually are not a true reflection of the country's preferences and the likes. If you organize a poll on Twitter, anybody around the world will be able to vote within this poll you've organized on Twitter. So yes, you have 200 votes for party A or maybe 5,000 votes for party B, but in actual contest, the results you get on these spaces are not the proximate or the real results you get from the citizens in these countries and the likes. And panel, polls are usually surveys, like you're trying to get a collective understanding of what the general public's view is. So they are not always guaranteed to be a true reflection of the country's preferences and the like. This is because they are open once again. Different people put their voices in, and when other people voice their concerns within like these general public space that are beyond the constraints of the country, it leads to very biased impressions about who is supposed to win what. So maybe let us use country A, party XYZ. So in country A, the citizens of the country want party X to win, but globally, to profit the global space, most other countries will vote for party Z. It then tends to impact the decisions of party A. So that way, the country's decisions do not actually stay true to what they want and the likes. And because people have actually other people have voiced out their concerns and the likes, this goes down to actually affect the final decision made by those in this country. So because on the global space, everybody is voting for party X, the citizens in the country are therefore conditioned to actually lean towards conditioned to lean more towards party X as opposed to they leaning to who will benefit them the most. And then his argument on fraud, I do not see how fraud actually comes to play in today's dialogue. And why are we saying this? There's no fraud in our space because these polls are organized by recognized bodies and the like. Nobody, fraud doesn't hold. This is because this is not like you are coming to dupe somebody. We are just withholding the results until the country releases their actual results. So the people that organize these polls would surely have like a locking system that will lock the actual results from these polls, and nobody can alter it after the polls have been held. So there will be no change in in everything and that kind of thing. So panel, why do we actually want this ban? We want the ban because there's usually a recency bias in the presence of when like a primary result is being released. And why are we saying this? If the polls are initially released and it's in favor of one party, generally people will be like, okay, let me just join the winning team, let me just join the majority. Because if I roll with the minority, I'll be the only one standing, and that will really go against them and the likes. And this will negatively actually affect the country if the person they end up voting for is not in their best interest and the like. So we want to avoid the recency bias. That is why we want the ban prior the actual elections. After the elections, we release the results, and anybody will be able to see the results from the polls. And actually this serves as a checking mechanism to actually check and see if the result is a true reflection of the country's preferences, because there was already a prior poll held, so people will be able to better voice out their opinions and the like. Please, any POI. Okay. Panel. Secondly, when this thing is actually banned, when the results prior the election is banned, it actually tends to encourage the parties to adopt other campaign alternatives and the likes, because you do not know where you stand, but you try your best to actually opt for the best measures to get greater buy-ins in this election. And why are we saying this? Because you know, okay, first set of the elections have been held and people have a fair image about you. You know that for the main elections, you'll be provoked to actually do better. You'll be provoked to employ better campaigning strategies, so that at the end of the day, you get more people signing up for your party and the likes. Panel, and because the media, because people have more buy-ins in. Please, I will resume now. So panel, secondly, there's usually a very sensationalist impact on people based on what they see in the polls and the likes. So because these polls are usually organized on virtual spaces and the likes, these same parties that they are hosting the polls for can actually choose to go and buy votes, or can choose to run these media houses. This will end up producing very conditioned results. So now the party in charge of that media house will actually pay, a party can choose to pay a particular media house to alter their results. If we are supposed to sign up for this one, if we do not ban the release before the entire thing, and this will actually really paint a very bad image in public, because if they know that, okay, you are going to release the results, they can pay these media houses, and the media houses will alter the results so that it will be in their favor. And when these results are altered to be in their favor, it goes down to affect the public. It changes the public perspective of this party, and everybody starts to lean into this party because, okay, yes, they won the polls, so how about we actually give them the real shot at the main election and the likes. Panel, what are some of the impacts of the ban we offer you? We offer you a much more unbiased approach to elections. And why are we saying this? because the results have not been released, people stay true to what they want. Or if these parties actually improve their policies, they roll onto the better policies of what this party offers. Secondly, it serves as a checking mechanism for the entire thing. Never been proud to propose.
Thank you very much, Deputy Prime Minister, for that speech. We are going to proceed to the final speaker on behalf of the Deputy Leader of the Opposition to extend the case for side.
Panel. So I'm here to repair some damage to my partners' cases and then rebut their cases over here. And then I'm going to give you some 3 more extensions to why, in fact 4 more extensions to why we don't want this ban to happen on our polls. Now, let's look at it. A small town where everything seems to be perfect. The mayor is always right and everything is so smooth until the pollster comes and then he asks the mayor what his favorite ice cream flavor is. And then we realize that everybody has an opinion to something. It means that the whole time the people in that town were not well informed. So they thought everything the mayor said was right until they realized that everybody has something based on their experiences and what they also have preference in. So now, let us see why this is important. So my partner comes to tell you that the fact that you are going to ban the polls is going to reduce informed voters. Yes. Why does this happen? When you reduce the informed voters, you realize that there will be absence in information. People will not be well informed on what is going on in their world. So it means that you just get to hear the news after everything has happened, and then you realize that probably the program was rigged. How do you know that it was rigged? You cannot really tell because you were not able to follow with the statistical data that they have produced for you. Now, he also says it encourages fraud, and he's right, because why does this encourage fraud? If the officials keep all the information to themselves and decide to release it in the end, how are you going to know that no, this mathematics is not adding up or something is going on? Because they've kept all the information and finally told you that this is your final result. Now take a look at this analogy. Imagine you go to a shopping mall and then you just go and make some selections to items in the mall, and that's what you have paid for. You realize that the person gives you probably an invoice and then they said this is your sum total without telling you why the amount in that invoice has risen. It means that you are not properly informed, and that is a problem here. So that even goes into the fact that there will be misinformation here, because we can just wake up and tell you anything that, and then you suddenly believe it. Yes. Now, back to rebutting their cases. Government comes to tell us that they are not against the polls, but they are going to have a way to keep the polls away from us until it's safe to release it. It's just like telling us that initially you are telling us that you are banning the thing, and now you want to try and give us you are trying to give us sweet talk, telling us that you are not going to ban it, but you are just going to keep it away from us and then give it to us later. Now look at how this is going to affect us. Imagine a kid is supposed to have maybe, let's say so let's say a learning material, and you withhold the learning material from the child because you feel the child will destroy the learning material, right? Now, when the child is beyond that age, it means that the time has passed for the child to be able to get some information from the material that he was supposed to use. What will happen? You realize that now, when you give it to the child has no use for it. So how are you giving us the post in the end when we needed the information on the post at the time there? So I don't think it is right for us to withhold the polls from the people. Now, like our opening government said, it says polls are service, and that's right, because polls are service and not what they came to tell us about our case here. They were saying that the polls are the results. Please, polls are not results. Polls are rather the service. So they've come to secure what my partner said. Now, coming back to extension of my cases here, with what my partner has said and everything that I've enhanced upon, we have the fact that polls are important because they help us to monitor the opinion of the masses. Why? When the politicians come on the podium and they give us their manifesto, these are policies that they are bringing onto the system, so the people will get to understand what the potential candidate wants to bring into the system. So if I feel that this policy will work best for me, I will choose what I like from it. You get it? For instance, let's use our previous political incidents where there was a case where people were interested in the idea of free SHS. Now, because people were interested in the idea of free SHS, they felt that it benefited them, and then they made their own decisions based on the policies. So in that sense, people who are interested in the opinions of the masses in the polls would like to know that yes, this idea suits majority of the people, so they can follow with it or not. Now, the next one has to do with public can collectively provide wisdom and insight. Yes, public can provide wisdom and insight. Now, the polls that are published in the authentic stations, when you realize it, they have meetings and they have discussions telling us why it seems from the statistical data this poll gives us more results. It means that they are analyzing their policies of the leaders, and then they are seeing whether what makes the people feel so interested in their policies and why they can make such beautiful insights there. So it means that with polls that are being published is good, so that the people can make good insights on that. Now, polling helps calibrate priorities for elected representatives. Yes, if a candidate comes to talk about maybe comes to give us a policy, and the policy does not really correlates with the interest of the people, they can realize it from the statistical data that the people are not really interested in the polls, in the policy, because the polls are dropping. You get it? So when you give something and then the people are not interested in it, then what are you going to do? You probably have to rethink your decisions next time when you are coming on. So it also supports transparency, and that I agree a lot. Why does it support transparency? And the fact that you say that the data can be changed is also the same way we tell you that you need to have an authentic source so that the people will know that yes, this is coming from TV3. So we are working with that data. Now, the transparency is that everybody knows that TV3 will produce authentic results. So nobody is going to come and rig the polls and come and tell you what is wrong or what is not. So people will get to understand that yes, this polls are coming from credible sources, and then we can use them to make our decisions. That is why we agree with the fact that we shouldn't ban the polls. So what did I bring to you today? I brought to you repair damage, and then I also rebutted the cases of the government, and then I also extended 4 cases. Thank you.
begin my debate in 3, 2, 1. Panel, you realize the main reason why we are having today's debate is to actually ensure that during elections, we have to get a free and fair election, free from any external harms, or even if there is harms, it's going to be minimized at the long run. That's why we're having this debate. Now, panel, what does we from the government side tells you? We tell you that, oh, when there's a run-up to election, that's like a 2 weeks or a week or 3 weeks to election, or electoral posts, that is suggesting who is winning, how the statistics is going, and all that things, supposed to be stopped. So supposed to stop. As opposed to these people who are saying that, oh, we should continue, even during the elections, the electoral posts should still exist. We are going to show you how that's very problematic. Panel, you realize that opening comes to give you a policy or a model. You realize that there is some kind of deficit in the model. That's why you have these people actually opposing certain things in the model and making it seem we are not doing the right thing. Now you realize that they come and tell the model, oh, we are going to ban it, panel. But who is the one going to do the ban? We tell you that the Electoral Commission is the people that are going to actually do the ban because we don't think the government is legitimate enough, as they are also part of the political people that are even running the campaign in the first place. Two, panel, we tell you that how is this ban going to look like? You're going to look like only the legislative actually was. There will be legislative laws that's actually going to ensure that these posts are actually banned, to ensure that anybody that actually goes against these things are going to be punished. Now, what they tell you again is that the post can be released after the election. That's why I have these people coming to actually engage that panel. We are saying the post will not be released after the election. That's going to be very problematic because as a point where you release those kind of posts and you don't even correlate to the election results, that kind of tension or that kind of terrorism or that kind of riot is still going to exist. So we are saying that when there is like a 2 weeks or 3 weeks to the election and these posts are stopped, it's stopped. Nothing released. Panel. Now, and the fact that he made an example with Twitter, that's why these people come and say that, oh, you don't get it from a credible source and all that. So we are saying whether credible or non-credible source, the posts are supposed to be stopped when there is a run-up during the election. Now, panel, what does the publication of electoral posts actually look like? It uses many things like statistics, presidential debates, presidential rallies and stuff to actually improvise results that are going to happen or how the election is going to take place or some of the statistics, how it's going, who is winning, who is all that. Now, panel, these things are all something that exists. We are not actually against it, but what we are trying to say is that during the run-up, these things are supposed to be stopped because it creates some kind of problems. But it takes away these people's problem on informed choices. We are saying the informed choices still exist. The only problem is that during the run-up to the election, like a 2 weeks, a week to the election, it's supposed to be stopped. So if you want to make an informed choices, you can make it throughout all that time. When it's left without 2 weeks, a week, that's the time for you to evaluate on the policies that you've had to actually go and make your decision to vote and not during the election. So we are saying informed choices actually exist. Now, you realize that during the run-up to the election, there's something that actually creates a lot of tension. There are a lot of tensions going on. Like people are trying to evaluate on which policy they are going to vote. People are trying to, there are a lot of things going on. People are trying to, there's a lot of problems. Now, at a point where you're actually bringing out these posts, we think it's going to be very problematic because panel? This way we tell you about our first case on the Cartesian doubt. Now, these people come and tell you that, oh, people's emotions are going to be triggered and changed. Now, how? How does this happen? Now, it happens based on the Cartesian doubt. Now, how does the Cartesian doubt happen? You realize that individuals are aligned to certain things. The possibility of something actually going wrong is something that is going to actually prevent individual from aligning itself with that particular thing. But it then happens that at a point whereby during the election, and there is still the publication of electoral polls suggesting that one leader is winning after opting for the other thing, the one that the Marxist was. That's something that is very problematic. A clear example is what happened in Mexico. When the cartels existing in Mexico was prioritizing a certain presidential individual over the other because they felt like that president is something that is not going to oppose the activities they do. What they did is then to actually create this kind of push during the election so that their favorite president is actually winning. The cartel's favorite president is actually winning. What you created is that you created that kind of Cartesian doubt in these people's mind. So what happens to the Mexicans is that, oh, even the person that is come to solve our problem is losing, then there is no need for me to vote. So what happened that people did not go and vote for their people. People did not go and support their people. They felt that, oh, already this person is winning. So you see that kind of manipulative choice that existed. This is something that's actually going to one way or the other affect the election process. They use these principles to actually make the person they prefer win. This is something we think that is very problematic because it creates some kind of manipulative choice. It doesn't allow individuals to actually assess the things they've heard based on the policy they've heard and other things to actually go and vote. At the point where you bring out this post, it creates that manipulative choice that exists. Now people will feel like, oh, even the people that have actually going to vote, the person that is actually bringing the best policy is person being voted against, then there is no need for me to vote. This actually one way or the other hinders the election. In order to actually assure a free and a fair election, we think this is something that is very problematic and it shouldn't exist. It can exist, but they're not doing a run-up for election where people are actually very incentivized or are evaluating their policies to actually vote. This is something what we think is very problematic. Now, panel, on a stakeholder analysis, how do you think this benefits the stakeholders? Oh, they come and mention a stakeholder as being a media. We think the media are the people that actually propagate this thing. But who are the major stakeholders in today's debate? They are the politicians and the voters that are going to vote. Now, how does it affect these politicians? You realize that one of the main reasons for this kind of post in actual sense is actually what enable these politicians to make better policies that will make sure that people are actually buying into those policies to vote for them. So during that time, when they are doing policies like maybe during this time and all that stuff, yes, it's to make them ensure that better policies, people are buying into their policy. But at a point, so that they will actually make sure that these individuals are also winning. So at a point where I feel like I'm losing based on the push that is happening, I'm able to make better policies to actually make sure people actually comes back to my side. But at a time when doing this run-up of election and these politicians still feel like they are still losing, once it creates that, it gives them an incentive to be corrupt. What you realize that this is why you find people actually creating more ballot papers ahead of election, because they feel like, we are losing based on the pool that is happening. We are losing. So we think that so they will make this kind of they will actually go to create ballot papers and other stuff to actually go and make up for that kind of pool that is actually existing. So we are saying that if these pools are actually stopped during this run-up to election, it prevents this one. So it doesn't give the incentives for these political people to be actually corrupt, because at the end you've already seen the pools. Whatever is happening within that 2 weeks or 3 weeks to the election is something they don't know, because there's no pool to actually show this. The people actually evaluate those kind of policies and they do it. Now, what are the what kind of benefit does it give to the voters? Now, you realize that on a stakeholder, the voters understand, it actually prevents that kind of manipulative choice that exists. So these individuals are able to actually evaluate the policies, evaluate this thing that all the other political parties brought, and then vote based on their preference. At a point whereby you actually bring this kind of push during the election, or you don't stop it, then you realize that it creates some kind of manipulative choice. I shall show you the Cartesian doubt, whereby these people are more inclined to the people that are winning, or they will even vote out, because the people that they prefer is actually losing. This is something that we think is very problematic. Now you realize how even this thing is actually affecting campaigns. That's why in status quo, even campaigns are supposed to be stopped during certain times during the election, because of that kind of manipulative choice that might exist. So in order for us to prevent this and ensure that the elections that are actually going to occur, something that is free, fair, free from manipulative choice, free from any external influence, this is something that we think was supposed to be characterized, is supposed to be prioritized over the other things. So panel, what we brought to you today is that the problems that these things cause on a Cartesian doubt, these people say, it's based on emotion. Let me say that emotion is actually principally because of the Cartesian doubt that happen, whereby individuals actually incline themselves towards what the good things, but the bad things happening is something that they wouldn't want to align themselves with. Now we showed you how this is actually going to benefit the politicians, as it's going to actually prevent them from being more corrupt and then value more on their policies. And we show you how it's going to actually make this kind of individuals very aware of who they are voting for. Thank you.
I start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panel, the biggest flaw in these guys' world is that they assume that people will ignore the harms and the things they are going through to choose something because a majority or a particular group of people are particularly voting for that particular thing, which is why they are able to come and argue that, okay, the polls show that 90% of the people are voting for Nanado, so we'll let Nanado win. It does not exist, because people go through things, and the reason why elections are conducted every 4 years is for the people to decide whether we want to go through the same things we are going through or want to test another person, right? In a world where democracy is high and people express themselves on the media through tweets, statuses, debates, and even actual posts on this particular social media platforms, the publication of this post is very necessary. Why? It takes into consideration the number of people who campaign for a particular group of people. Secondly, it takes into consideration the number of people who engage in conversations about a particular politician and how that particular campaign is going about. Again, these guys premise their argument on the fact that, the people that partake in the polls are not just from Ghana and they are from outside. Panel. The reason why people in US know that Nanado is maltreating Ghanaians is because Ghanaians talk about it, which means even if the people outside participate in this particular poll, the polls are still reflecting the majority views of the people within the country. Secondly, When shock hits people, they act on impulse because one, they don't know what to do. Why is this true? The fight or flight mode, right? So in the middle of trying to understand that even in the middle of elections, information leaks. It could be false or true. In the middle of the election, when this particular information leaks, now people have to find ways and means at the end of the day to get their particular interest into those particular polls, right? But at a point in time where there's a prediction of who has higher chances of winning or who has lower chances of winning, the people know that this is what we are going through. If Nanado wins, we'll go through this 4 more years. Panel, human beings are rational enough to know that they don't want to go through a certain level of trauma for another 4 years, right? A counterfactual is that statistics will be released closer to the elections as in status quo. Things like from valuable and credible sources like the president's speech, like national TVs, things that are actually granted by the president. Citizens will be educated as to the sources to gather information from. Like we all know sources that you can actually pick information from and sources that you cannot pick information from. So it doesn't look like in their world where somebody will post on their status that Nanado is winning. No, that's not what that particular publication looks like, right? Now, electoral polls are statistics. I'll take you later, don't worry. If I don't take you, Selassie will take you. They are statistics of the elections or the candidates that are done before the election to show what the competition looks like, i.e. who is winning or who is losing or who has the higher chances of winning. It does not necessarily mean that that particular person is going to win. These polls are legit because I've already shown you that even if they are worldwide polls, people from US will not automatically just get up and vote for a particular person. It's because of the kind of feedback they get from the people within the country, which means it still reflects the views of the people within the country, right? The run-up election looks like a few months or particularly a week or two to the particular elections, right? Understand that these polls are not just from one person. These polls are not based on just one platform, but then things like campaigns from the citizens and majority social media platforms, right? OG comes to tell us that we should release the polls after the election. What are we using those particular polls released after the election for? Nobody really needs it. See, panel, the truth is people don't care about the polls. The reason why they care about the polls is because of what happens before the election. We don't need the polls after the election, so you can't credit them for those particular things that they say. The next thing is, what happens without these particular polls, right? Panel, I've already told you that even without the polls, there is still information. What these polls does is it gives some form of credit to that particular information. Because without the information, people still go about and say that, oh, Nanado is winning. Oh, I don't know if you get it. It prevents that kind of panic that misinformation is likely going to bring, right? These guys then tell you that people will alter the media to change the polls. Panel, first, we've already told you why how people are going to be educated to listen to things like national television and the reason why presidents give speech for particular information like this. Secondly, politicians do not care about the polls. No politician will come and bribe a media person to say that, oh, let the polls show that I'm winning 90%. They want the actual polls because they want to know what to do. They want to know how to strategize. They don't care about the polls. They care about the election. The next thing they tell you is about majority and minority. Panel, people have the choice to decide what to do. I've already told you why the reason why we vote every 4 years is to give people that particular choice. So you cannot assume that because people are stupid, or excuse me, stay stupid and we ignore everything they go through and we ignore their choices because they want to fit in a particular majority something, right? I've already shown you how poll is a reflection of the particular people's votes, right? Because even if those particular things come from outside, these particular things are the reflection of the majority people, which means that she doesn't, she tells you that, oh, poll is not a reflection of the other people's voices. She doesn't even show you why other countries will particularly be interested in just rising polls without any logic, right? Panel. Our first case is on the fact that the media will be used as a propaganda by the government. What it means is that the government is the one we think is perpetuating this particular kind of thing, right? He tells you that, oh, the government is not legitimate enough. How is the government not legitimate and the electoral commission is legitimate? Can I understand that even the electoral commission is under the government? So if you say the government is legitimate and then the electoral commission is legitimate, then they are both not legitimate. We think that this particular government is legitimate because, one, even without the polls, right, from the government, there's still going to be things like rumors, which means the government has an incentive to make sure that the particular information coming out is credible. Because with or without it, there will still be information. So why don't we make this particular publication one that is from a credible source, right? So we think that the government owes it to the people to disseminate information to avoid the spread of rumors. Why is this true? Even without the publication, all sorts of conjectures and guesses are made about the election. So I just get up and I see someone's campaign flyer, and I'm like, oh, you guys, Nanadu is winning and blah, 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 right? So we think that it is the duty of the government to ensure that the society has accurate information. Why is this important? To prevent wrong dissemination of information that may cause chaos before the particular elections, right? We think that it maintains the trust of the people for the government. Why is this so true? It is true because the people believe in the government. They know that, okay, the government says the statistics read 70%, 30%, then it's actually accurate, right? We also think that it is easier to particularly control things before the elections than after the election, because people are forced to act on impulse during the election. So if during the election word goes out and Nadu is winning, now these particular people may cause chaos and destroy things, right? Secondly, still on the first case, we think that people are very much aware that the polls are not the final say. What it means then is that it pushes both contestants and the citizens to be on their A game, which means politicians that know that they have to upgrade their particular policies and etc. will do those particular things, right? We think that we prefer chaos, particularly before the election, which can be easily controlled because people are going to use strategies and things like that, rather than chaos after the election. Because chaos after the election, there are law enforcement and things. We don't want chaos during the election, where people will ruin the particular state and disrupt the election process. Proudly, CEO.
Thank you very much, member of opposition, for your speech. We'll proceed by inviting the final speaker on the government bench, government whip, to summarize the government cases today.
Alright. Can I start? Alright then. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Panel. The funniest team in this particular debate is CO. Why? Because they tend to underestimate the kind of influence these electoral polls have, especially during the run-up. Panel, please note this, the importance of the particular run-up and why it is necessary that these polls must be banned during this particular section, right? Panel, run-up to elections, just like Tvucc tells you, it's a period like perhaps 2 weeks, a week or so to the elections. Why is this particular week important? Because of the sensitivity of this particular period, right? What this means is that whatever happens during that scenario is very likely to affect the elections which occurs. What it means is that if there's perhaps a scandal which happens for a particular politician, right, it's going to affect what he has in the election. If it happens way before the elections, right, there's that level of that time for them to clarify everything. In a situation whereby you create a room for these kinds of things to occur, like the electoral polls, during the sensitive issue, is likely and very much going to affect that of the elections, right? Panel, Tvucc has largely proven to you why this is particularly true, and I'll go through it again, right? Panel, again, the reason why these people come to say that, oh, informed choices will not be there and all those kinds of things, right? Panel, this is not true, because we should understand that this is during the run-up to elections. What it means is that before the entire time, whatever informed choices that was supposed to be there has already been created. That's why there's campaigns which exist. That's why even those electoral polls still exist, right? Panel, the electoral polls purposefully is to show what kind of things that people more or less have, right? Their opinions which are happening, right? Panel, the reason why it's important for it not to be showing up, especially during these particular elections, is the nature of its sensitivity, right? Panel, again, the reason why Tvucc tells you our policy is the fact that the electoral commission is going to do this. Why? If we're going to say that the electoral commission is under the government, panel, please note, the electoral commission is an independent body. It's as independent as the judicial system. What it means is that any influence from any political party doesn't affect the electoral commission. Hence, they are very legitimate to ban this ban in this existence, right? Government cannot have any say because of the political influence that can happen in that sense, right? Panel, again, the reason why TG comes to assume that people will be easily influenced is because they assume that, oh, this particular season which happens, people are just going to people will not be easily influenced. Panel, see, it's the time to elections, right? Which means that if you show or if you bring things that this particular government is one which is going to lose, right, people will not go to vote again because of the kind of influence that happens. This is the period people are going to be voting, yeah? That is why Theophilus even speaks to you about the Cartesian doubt. If from the time I was going to vote, and then right now you are then showing me that this kind of person is going to lose, there is no incentive for me to go and waste my vote for that kind of person, right? That is the influence I'm speaking about. It's not like you are just saying people are dumb or do all those kind of things, right? People already have their decisions to elections. When you bring them another option, what it means is that they're going to be changing the kind of agenda or the kind of thinking that they have towards that particular elections, which you believe is very bad, right? They come to say that it's going to be from credible sources. Panel. See, this is something where you cannot particularly show that it's going to be credible or not. This is something which is a wide array of information coming from various people, right? Especially during this time. Panel, please note, this is something which is very important and very crucial, right? During elections, right, so many things happen. That is why you have the government bringing on people like the police people and all that to ensure that tension doesn't occur. In a situation whereby you create a room for these kinds of things to occur, this belief is very much problematic. Credibility cannot be proved in this sense, right? Panel, you also say that, oh, chaos do not exist in our world. Panel, see something, right? I've analyzed to you, especially what Joe tells you, right, on how the election polls look like, right? Chaos is very likely to occur because of the fact that if I think that during the polls, especially when before I was winning, now especially when it's now time for me to win or for the election to occur, and I see that I'm losing, panel, it's going to cause so much chaos, so much tension which is going to occur, which you believe is very bad, right? Panel, why do we win over OO, right? OO says what you tell you is that electoral polls serve a purpose, but the situation whereby they tend to manipulate the public opinion, right? The electoral polls and those kind of things exist before they run up to clear any kind of informed choices that exist, right? So when they say that it reduces public engagement and reduces informed voters, panel, we tell you that all these informed choices already exist, right? In a situation whereby you bring it before this sensitive time, right, it's very problematic because any kind of information you need has already been provided. That's why there is campaigns. Panel, please note, the reason why campaign stops before the election period is because of the kind of nature which exists, right, the influence it has. In a situation whereby you stop campaign and you still allow electoral polls, we do not see how that is going to change the kind of tensions which you see in that sense, right? That's why we would want to ban it in that sense, right? Panel, also says they are not supposed to follow any source but a credible one. Panel, we've shown you how this cannot be proven because polls are largely self-service, right? What it means is that credibility cannot be proved in this particular debate, right? Panel, they also said that people will know more about whatever is going on. We've explained to you how whatever form of informed choice, any case of choices has already been done, right? What they should prove is why these choices will still be done, especially in a sensitive issue, and how we're going to prevent things like chaos and tensions during this period, right? Panel, why do we meet our open, right? They come to tell you about, oh, biases due to the manipulations and triggers of the people, right? And their emotions and all that. We've proven to you how this manipulation occurs, why it occurs, and how it's going to occur by analyzing to you the Cartesian doubt, right? What this Cartesian doubt is, if I believe that these kind of people are going to be losing or what I'm thinking is going to be wrong due to a large number of people, I am disincentivized to push into that kind of agenda. I'll go into where people are going in that sense, right? We do not want these kinds of things, right? Elections are meant to be free and fair. We've allowed campaigns. Everybody should allow to listen to each side and now have time to evaluate what's going to happen. We do not want to create a situation whereby people are now going to now be thinking about things and be manipulated by whatever reason, right? They come to a policy that, oh, we release the results after. Panel, we are not going to be releasing any results. Once it's time for during that run-up issue or during run-up time, everybody should stop campaign. All electoral polls should stop. It's going to be banned in that sense, right? Panel, we believe that our policy is one which is very feasible, it's very credible, and it's very legitimate to be done, right? OJ cannot beat us in this particular debate. We have proven why we are better than them on all levels, right? Panel, the reason why we are even better than CG is because of the fact that they come to undermine the influence which exists and they undermine the sensitivity of elections in that sense, right? On probability, right? There's a high level of influence and creation of tensions before and during elections. I.e., whatever happens during that time is very much important in that sense, right? We have proven how we reduce that probability by cancelling all forms of electoral polls and all those kinds of things, right? They do not show how the probability of tensions is very limited in that sense, right? Panel, again on the frequency, right? The impact of it, right? We serve a long-term impact, i.e., during the elections, even after the elections, all sorts of chaos and all that have been taken off on that side, right? We've also shown you how it affects the stakeholders when chaos speaks to you about the government, about the politicians, and the voters themselves, right? Panel, vote CG. Why? Because we've proven to you how we give the best impact and all those kinds of things in that sense, right? Proudly proposed.
Thank you very much, Government Tvucc, for your speech. We proceed by inviting the final speaker for the round in opposition with to summarize the entire debate.
begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panel, note something. Cindy tells you very, very important things in today's debate which you guys should take into consideration. She tells you the nature of these polls and what they look like and how it encompasses a large number of people engaging in what political discourse to know and what reflects on people's chances of winning. Understand that what she tells you why this particular post is really important, because it constantly shows the reflection of people's struggles and how these political people can can have upkeep on knowing whatever policies they can actually enact, which is very particularly important. Understand that what the reason why other countries cannot engage would not be incentivized to engage or do this post is because, one, they don't reflect the struggles which that particular country goes on. See, she shows you why they don't reflect the struggles. Going straight forward to the win of OG. So, OG's case is premised on the fact that there's going to exist bias, and hence because of this bias, it's going to trigger the emotions of people. This is particular flawed because she shows you how the reflection of these emotions of people is very vital to the actions that they take. Understand that people are going to vote based on how they are feeling at that particular time. So at a point in time where they feel the struggles of that particular government, the government is not giving them like the education they need. They are going to vote based on that particular struggle. This is particularly important because at the point in time when you are going to vote based on that and they reflect that on the post, it gives the opposing party or the political parties who are going to actually engage in the election to actually incorporate that into their policies to make sure that they can mitigate that harm. Understand that these polls are not the real elections. They are just a reflection of people's opinions, and these opinions are taken into considerations to these posts are taken into consideration to actually reflect on that. The reason why these people are actually credible, as Cindy tells you that they are going to have the presidential speech in national televisions, why these people are actually credible to actually do that is because of it's because of how they've amassed number of viewers, because they've been doing this from time to time, and hence the people that are there have trust in in these media televisions to reflect upon the right thing, because they've been doing that from like the 90s, and hence they've accredited that large number of buyers to actually reflect on that particular opinion. So they say that their word is going towards in their word they're going to cause delay of elections and it's going to lead to riots. That is particularly problematic because Cindy shows you how chaos is going to exist in their word, because during the election where people do not know the win of which particular political party has a high chance of winning, and these election polls, the actual election polls, just pop up. It's going to lead people to act on impulse, i.e. the politicians, because at the point in time where they realize that they are losing during the election, they are going to resort to illegal means to actually put their way to it. That is particularly bad because it's going to lead to much more riots. In our world, through the media propagating that this particular people has a higher chance of winning, it lowers the tension that is going to exist within election, because it's going to protect the people from themselves, because now the politicians are going to know whatever they're going to reflect on whatever policy that they want to actually whatever policy they want to actually reflect to actually help the people. This is particularly true. So why particularly their model cannot work? Because at the end of the day, where you show the post after the elections, and I think that the people are not going to care. Secondly, it's going to make the people more agitated, because at the end of the day, you just show it after the election, they're going to become angry. It is particularly bad. Understand, CG's case again is on the premise that people are going to be manipulated, because they will have Cartesian doubts, and because of that they wouldn't be able to vote, because that particular moment is going to be a sensitive moment. Cindy tells you one particular important thing which you cannot undermine: the struggles that people face going forward to the election. This is particularly important because these struggles are what changes the terms of power. If people are feeling okay, that particular party is going to be there forever and ever because they are satisfying the needs of the people. At the point in time where people are not okay and they are having struggles, that is what causes the turnout and the change in election, because people are going to people's struggles reflect during the election. Understand that they talk about how it's going to prevent the politicians from the politicians from being more corrupt. This is particularly bad because it tells you how the chaos that is going to exist within these elections is going to make politicians resort to illegal means to actually help save their election because of the impulse that is going to exist within that particular elections. I understand that the reason why bids are opening clearly is because they talk about how it's going to help inform voters. Cindy shows you extensive analysis on how the media is very important in propagating this information to actually reduce the tensions within this particular getting closer to the election, and also reflects the opinions of that particular people to help the politicians know the kind of policies that they can actually enact again to actually help better the people. Understand that the polls are not released the night before the elections. People still have a choice to actually decide what their fate for the next 10 years, as these people are saying that the polls are going to be released and it's going to lead to more chaos. Understand that when you don't release the polls, it affects the election process because people are going to be hit by a shock and are going to be forced to act on impulse. Understand that the Electoral Commission cannot enforce these laws as these people are preaching about, because understand that the Electoral Commission are under the government. The people that are actually on the commission are actually people that were elected by the government, and hence the government has an influence on them. However little the influence is very important. Understand that as Cindy tells you in their policy, that the statistics the statistics is going to show like the capability of the particular politician during the campaign. Understand, in status quo, chaos occurs during the election because people are shocked by how the elections are going, and hence there's usually little that can be done about it, and the people will start fighting during the election. Chaos after election can be managed by the law enforcement and everything. Understand that chaos exists more in their world. Why? Because people feel surprised that people feel surprised that their desire. People feel surprised, and hence their desire to act on impulse is what's enacted. In a world where campaign does not end the week before elections, people still have the ability to change their decisions and adjust to the ways of their adjust to the ways. What analytical extensions do you get from Cindy? One, the media propaganda. Two, and how it protects people from misinformation because of how I show you how these sources are credible, and how it also protects people from impulse because it reduces the tensions and help the politicians reflect on how do you call it, reflect on whatever they want. In our world, people are more informed. It also protects the people from acting on people on impulse. How does the government benefit from it? Because how does the government benefit? There's wrong dissemination of information. Our world helps prevent chaos during election, during today's debates.
Thank you very much for this debate. Please be back in the next 15 minutes. Thank you.